Alrighty, and I'll just copy and paste the streaming link to our wiki page, and then we'll start. Copy video URL. Come on. Link to YouTube stream. There we go. YouTube link. And screen sharing, screen 2. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So welcome everybody to Wednesday's edition of X2Go the Spread 2023. And tonight's presentation or discussion actually is about our last 18 months of using Betterplace as a donation platform and the future of X2Go donations. First, some statistics. We started in late 6 2022, early 7 2022, so less than 6 months of 2022, and we got 29 donations in total, and the total amount is more than 1,600 euros. And in 2023, as of December 13th, so today, we received 46 donations in total and a total amount of 3,724 euros. This is divided between Orca and X2Go donations. So for Orca, in those roughly 6 months of 2022, we got 1 donation in total with a total amount of 250 euros. And this year, we received 4 donations in total with a total amount of 330 euros. For X2Go, in 2022, again, just about 6 months, we received 28 donations in total with a total amount of 1,350 euros. And in 2023, we received 42 donations and a total amount of 3,394 euros. Now, how we currently spend the money, in no particular order, for tax advice and accounting costs for Orca, for X2Go's web hosting, for X2Go's Mac OS build server hosting, for training costs when attending events, currently only billed via X2Go. This may change in the future, where we might have exclusively Orca-themed booths somewhere. Then for handouts, posters, flyers, both for X2Go and Orca since this year. And for spare parts, we received a hardware donation a while ago, and the keyboard of this donated laptop broke. So that's what we currently spend the money for. And this is how need fulfillment works on Betterplace. So Betterplace is structured in projects, and projects can have 1 or more individual needs. And we have 2 projects on Betterplace at the moment. One is Orca EV and the other one is X2Go. You can see some completed needs here in the screenshots. And the problems we have is we can list 1 or more specific needs per project, as I just explained, but it seems like one cannot donate towards 1 specific need, even though it looks like that at first glance, because all needs get fulfilled sequentially per project. The fine print on the Betterplace webpage clearly says that needs are just examples, and the donation money may be used freely on all needs belonging to a project. Still, this seems a bit unfair, in my opinion. So that's one problem we have, and the other is that we need to figure out a way to accept donations for code improvement. So my idea how we could solve this is to add multiple X2Go projects to Betterplace. The current X2Go project, we'd keep this one alive and would turn it into a catch-all project. So whenever a donor donates money to a need on this catch-all project, we will understand it as a use as you deem fit donation by the donor. And I would suggest several new projects, and feel free to add other ideas later on in the discussion. One, X2Go infrastructure, where we cover hosting costs, hardware, spare parts, etc. One with X2Go events, where we cover posters, handouts, travel, lodging, etc. One for X2Go documentation improvement, so wiki content, man pages, in-application helps with screens, and one for X2Go development, and we'll go into the details of that one later. Now you can see there are two asterisk marked ones in here, and that is because of some issues we have with these particular sub-projects, so to speak. But before we look at those, let's have a quick look at the pros and cons of my solution.
Stefan, can I just rewind a little bit?
Okay.
So why not use the catch-all donation?
We can
piggy
use
bank.
the catch-all. The problem with the catch-all donation is that donors expect to see what we do with the money. So we need to put in needs. We cannot keep the project open for donations without listing a single need. So once all needs are fulfilled, the project closes. So we cannot accept donations via this project anymore.
Okay, so for the
what we would
say
do
for
is
development, we can actually put big projects in where people can dump money.
That's the idea.
Yeah, and so that we have long-term suspended or yeah. Okay, I get it. Okay.
So in the future, if everybody agrees to my plan, in the future we would have our classic X2Go project on Betterplace, and we put small needs in there, like 50 euros, 250 euros, and clearly mark them as do as you please. So everybody that dumps money into this classic X2Go project is aware of what this money will be used for. Basically everything that we feel appropriate for X2Go. While the other projects would have more specific needs, like we're going to Chemnitz Linux target, so we need a budget for travel, for lodging, for flyers, handouts, posters, etc. And that will have a price tag, so to speak, this need. And the next need would be Linux Info Day Augsburg, and so on and so on.
Okay.
So that's the pro of my idea, of my approach, that potential donors can choose which area of X2Go they want to sponsor. The only con I can think of at the moment is that there will be no central overview of all those X2Go related projects on Betterplace.org. We could put one on the wiki start page, for example, but there's no central place where you could click and say, I want to donate to X2Go. Let's see what sub-projects they have. No, they will all be top-level projects. Okay, so if anybody has additional pros and cons, feel free to add them later. Once I am done with the slides, I'll switch over to the wiki page, and we can all add pros and cons and additional X2Go sub-projects to the list as we like. So with the X2Go documentation project, there's one caveat, and that is adding a project that covers expanding or improving wiki content, man pages, and so on. That's something where the revenue service might argue that this is work that could and should be done by Orca EV volunteers as part of their volunteer work without soliciting money for it. So this might actually endanger Orca EV's non-profit status. And with X2Go development projects, there are three major issues that I see. The one is that we would need to split these projects up further. So we can't make one project X2Go development and add needs for HTML5 client, K-Drive, sound support, USB forwarding, etc. Because people will probably want to donate to one specific need of that. So someone wants to dump 1,000 euros into K-Drive, and after donating, he realized, oops, those 1,000 euros went to HTML5 client, which I have no need for. So that's something that we need to avoid by adding one project per development task. So HTML5 client would be one project, K-Drive would be one project, sound support would be, well, improved sound support would be a project, and so on and so on. It's doable, I think, but it's something we need to keep in mind. The bigger problem is a legal one. That means every Orca EV member, not only the two chairmen, every EV member that offers commercial X2Go related services would have to recuse themselves from any decision as to which company or individual gets assigned to the task. So worst case, this would leave only one or maybe two Orca EV members that are eligible to vote. In a less strict interpretation, only the members that actually put in an offer for one of those tasks, either individually or to the company, they would have to recuse themselves. So we would have a larger number of members that would be eligible to vote. And for each funded task, we would have to schedule an Orca General Assembly every time somebody steps up and says, okay, this task is funded and I as an individual or I with my company want to tackle it. And the third problem is that we, of course, will need to set up rules and regulations for the companies or individuals that are willing to pick up a sponsored X2Go development task. So each task needs a precise description of what to do, think expected results when complete, a time frame, an agreement on penal damages when the time frame is missed. So maybe you take twice as long as you promised, then no money for you, sorry. And an agreement on whether or not, and if, then when partial payments are due. So are there like steps in there that we can maybe set a monthly goal, and if this goal is fulfilled, we will make a partial payment for that. So this is the big questions. Should we consult our tax advisor or lawyer regarding the X2Go documentation and X2Go development caveats? The budget for this could be sourced via a new Betterplace org need. So this is one yes or no decision that we have to make. And until we make this decision, or if we decide to hire a lawyer for this, until the legal feedback has arrived, I would suggest only adding the X2Go infrastructure and X2Go events projects, as well as critical projects that may get suggested later on. And I hope you agree with me on that. And the third item is that the two Orca chairmen, so Mike and me, would need to make a phone meeting later on tonight to greenlight those new projects and needs so that they can put them on a Betterplace, preferably tonight or tomorrow early morning. So that's the last task then for Mike and me. So we'll now switch over to the wiki in case somebody wants to add project ideas and or pros and cons.
Just to add to that, I'm currently involved in another customer, where they are the customer and we are the supplier, and it's also a non-profit, and so I don't know the details, but they are facing quite some issues at the moment because of so as far as I understand, it is not so well documented who contributed what and who was paid for what, and that causes them a lot of troubles right now. So setting up an infrastructure or setting up a process or processes that make sure that we know who has been working on what with how many hours, and at the same time, and this is where GitLab maybe comes in as well, also tracking then what contributions actually did come from voluntary contributors, so that you can also put the community contributions and the professional contributions onto scales and see what are we actually looking at. Is it all done by companies, or is it actually also a project where we have community contributors? And I think that this is a problem with the other entity I've been talking about, that they didn't track what came from the community. But it is
Well,
all.
tracking it via GitLab is one idea. The other is that we would use a I don't know the English term for it, but a Werkvertrag instead of a Dienstleistungsvertrag. So we pay not by hours but by completed tasks.
Yeah, I wouldn't send a quote for those, because at the end, what counts is the hour that gets paid. And if well, either you absolutely overestimate the hours and it's less work, then you're good, but that is not to the benefit of the non-profit Orca, or you give a good you present a good quote, but at the end you put in 150% of the hours or something, and then it's bad for the company. So I been there. I will not send quotes then, because I just changed the company policy in that direction, that we have
Okay.
contractors and we have supplier agreements where the worked hour gets paid, and we prerequisite and we assure that every hour that has been worked is an hour value the money, no matter how long it takes to actually get something done. So, but yeah, it's probably a matter of taste there.
Yeah, see, the problem is when we accept donations for a particular task, then we need to put up uh, a number of euros and say, completing this task, so that, for example, K-Drive Windows client is released. This will cost this amount of euros because we expect it to be this amount of hours times hourly rate.
Mm.
If this doesn't work out, then we will need to find some other way of financing this. This might be another donation drive. This might come from OCA funds that are not allocated to any other project at the moment. But we need to think of what we do if these sponsorships do not cover enough hours.
Yeah.
Because our estimation was wrong or because something stupid happened on the way. That's something that we would need to discuss.
Mm.
Because obviously I do want you and your company to be able to profit from this. But we need to find a way to make that work.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that strictly going by hours with no set limits is something that donors will accept.
Yes, I agree. At the same time, I've just done a project where we did 200% of the hours that were estimated, and
Ouch.
I just and I just promised my employees that we won't do that again. And so one thing can also be that we really need to find ways to clauses in the also in the project description, but in the project description and also in the contract paperwork that needs to be done for these projects when we actually hire people, that we acknowledge, and this is actually something you would so where we could actually as a non-profit turn the knob and turn Orca from not being a company contracting stuff to an NGO or a non-profit contracting stuff. So in my opinion, and this is one baseline for this in my company, what we provide to our customers is not code crunching. It is art, and so and with a painter, I'm not sure. Maybe you have similar contracts if you request from someone drawing a portrait of you. But basically, this is how experienced good developers. They are artists, and yeah, I don't know. This is a policy thing, but at the end, we deliver beautiful art that works, and not just
I
put pressure on developers and get more and more done with less and less hours. So
I do like the sentiment of considering code art. Um, And I agree with you that it should be easier to handle it this way in a non-profit like Orca. The catch once again is the donation system, the specifying a particular need which needs a price tag. So if we just had sufficient donations in our general X2Go project, where we can do with the money as we like, as long as it's somehow profiting X2Go, then I would not have an issue with it. The problem I have is with what do I, as the one who's currently operating the Betterplace pages, what do I put in the description for this need, and what amount of money do I put there?
Yeah, I get it. I get it fully.
So, like we can use smaller bundles for a particular project. So again, with K-Drive and the Windows client, we can break this down into several steps. So say the first step would be updating our infrastructure, because Mihai, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have a Windows machine to build this stuff on, but it's horribly outdated.
A Windows VM, yes, but it's still on Windows 7 and stuff like that. Yeah.
So one step would be upgrading this machine. The next step would be the actual software task, so preparing the build and so on, and we could break that down into several needs. So if the thing is, I can, if I remember it right, I can delete needs and I can change needs as long as not a single cent has been donated to this particular need. So if we put in a need to update this build system, and we realize that it's going to take longer than expected, then we could put in another need that explains that we will need to invest more into this. The only problem we would have is if the next need is already live, and we realize we need more money for the currently running need.
So so splitting up tasks into subtasks, and also maybe defining a chain of subtasks. This is certainly something that lowers the risk of absolutely miscalculating. The next problem is that normally the company who offers the service proposes the hours that need to be used. So what we have to do is, as a contractor, we have to sort of estimate the workload, and then tell if we are the companies, then it's sort of inherent process and everything is good. But so I couldn't estimate how long Alex takes for stuff, or some other company we don't know yet, and they would like to send.
The idea would be that companies that are currently involved with X2Go are all sent the task that we are intending to put on this, or the need that we are intending to publish on Betterplace, and they can all send in their quotes, and then we'll just take the
and then we put up the project on Betterplace,
and then we use the highest quote that people have sent in, and use that as a baseline for the need that we'll put online. If anybody says, I can do this and I can do this for less than this money, that's fine, because then the remaining money will go to Orca.
Yeah. Is that possible? Because it is,
I would believe,
money assigned to a certain task, or do we need to describe that in the project proposal on Betterplace.org?
I would clearly describe it in a need description, that any money not used for the task will go to Orca or to X2Go related Orca projects. But as long as the description is clear, I do not see a problem with that. Remember that the fine print on the Betterplace site also says that needs are only examples. We are not forced to use money for a need. We are only forced to use the money for the particular project.
Okay. So it can.
So we have a project, X2Go K-Drive Windows client release. And the first need is set at, let's say, 1,000 euros. And the company or individual who covers it says, I can do this for 800. Then that's cool. And we have 200 euros we can use for the next need in this particular project. So 200 euros of the next need, like the software part, Miha has to sit in front of a computer for so many hours and prepare the release, is already covered with 200 euros. So if this will cost another 1,000, then we are only needing another donation of 800 euros.
This suggests we take the 3, 4, 5, 6 quotes, double the amount, and put that into the proposal or into the funding project.
I do think we should use a realistic quote.
Yeah, that's
using
what I'm
the
saying.
highest one of the bidders doesn't seem all that wrong to me.
Yeah, what I normally do is
not.
What I normally do when I'm writing quotes, I come up with a number and then I double it. That's why I'm saying that. And then it's realistic, actually.
The one problem we have with needs is that people are less likely to donate towards a need if it's a high amount of euros.
Yeah, I get that.
It's just something to keep in mind. Okay,
just some notes about sub projects. I mean, we need better integration for Windows 11 client and for macOS ARM architecture.
Okay. Then let's add this X2Go dev Mac OS ARM. This is ARM64, right?
It's only ARM64.
Not really. Yeah.
The M1, you mean?
That's only ARM64, yeah.
And just a better integration. For example, if someone wants to install X2Go client right now, he should accept a lot of exception on Windows to get it working. Yes, and I mean it should just work something like Microsoft Store, X2Go client install ready.
Move on to installation and can you see the screen, or is it too small? Should I increase the font size?
It's good.
Okay, so okay with what I wrote as the summary?
Yes, but we need more infrastructure for macOS M1 architecture.
Oh, that's this one, new build infrastructure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so added new dev.
So certainly the HTML5 client thing needs to be split up into several individual sub-projects, sub-projects, right?
Well, do we have to split it up into sub-projects or into needs?
Needs, yes.
Because needs are not problematic. Yeah. Needs is something that we can do relatively quickly. A project is something that I have to report to Betterplace, and they will look over it and they will manually activate it once they agree with it.
But you said once someone donated for that project and the needs get adjusted, then you can't adjust the needs anymore.
No,
right?
No. If one need gets a single cent of donations, then I cannot delete it or change it anymore.
Okay. So the need, you can add needs, and
I can add hundreds of needs if I want.
Yeah.
And the first one will probably receive a donation sometime, and then I cannot delete it or edit it anymore. And later needs that are not even partially fulfilled yet, those I can delete, from my understanding.
Okay.
And I can also change the order. So if it turns out we need an intermediate step, I can add a new need and move it forward in the slots, so it goes right after the currently partially funded need.
Stefan, I'm not sure about donating. If someone donates, he can let us a comment. Yeah, maybe we can do such sub projects, tasks, stuff like that on our wiki page. But for donations, if someone want explicit one feature, then he should give it as comment on the donation. Just as keep it simple principle. Just my suggestion.
The problem is that we will receive this donation and it might fulfill a need automatically. And I have no way of reassigning those funds later on the Betterplace side. So this, let's say we have, what can we use as an example? So we have, we're in the X2Go events section, and we have two needs, one for CLT and one for LITA. And this particular donor wants to donate to the LITA event. But CLT is the one that is first in sequence. So as soon as they hit the donate button, this money will go into the CLT need and might fulfill this need. So until I notice that there's this comment on the donation, no other donation can be made towards CLT. And I would have to manually put in a new need for CLT with the remaining amount and somehow get the current funding that we received assigned to something else. And no. That would really break Betterplace infrastructure.
My suggestion was that we have just one need, just for Orca or X2Go, yes. And if someone wants to have one feature, then it should let it in comments. And it's our problem.
The problem is that we have to put a price tag on each need. They cannot make a donation of 1,000 euros if we only have a need that reaches 250 euros. And vice versa, if you put in a need with 1,000 euros, then this need will stay open with an amount of 750 euros if they donate 250, plus the higher amount will keep donors from donating toward this cause. So casual donors will usually want to donate like 50 or 100 euros. If they see there's a need that covers 1,000 euros, they'll go, oh dear, I can cover maybe 10 or only 5% of this need. No, I'll look somewhere else where I can donate 50 euros and the whole 50 euro need is completed with my donation. So that's not a technical, but a psychological issue at all.
You're right.
So does anyone have any more pros and cons to my approach? Is there something we need to add?
No, not really right now.
Okay. So we're done with summing up the project ideas and the pros and cons, which means we should decide on whether or not to consult our tax advisor and our lawyer regarding the documentation and X2Go development projects.
You say our lawyer, do we have any?
No, we have a tax advisor, and we would need to look for a lawyer that specializes on this. So my first step would be to ask our tax advisor, which might actually give us an answer for free. But if we would need to consult a lawyer, this would probably cost around 250 euros for the initial consultation. That's a standard fee they most of them charge. So I would put in a new Betterplace need on Orca for say 300 euros. So we cover value-added tax as well. If we agree that it makes sense to ask a lawyer, we can make the decision without a lawyer and say we'll just risk it, or we can make the decision without a lawyer and say no, we don't want to do this, or we could ask a lawyer before we decide, or our tax advisor if he's able to help.
So the question is if what we want to do is in the scope of Gemeinnützigkeit under German tax legislation.
The documentation part is the one with the issue on whether or not we're a non-profit.
Mm-hmm.
The Gemeinnützigkeit.
Mm-hmm.
The development part is the one where we need to check if there are any restrictions on, or how strict the restrictions are for us that are both ORCA members and company owners or freelancers.
Our company members, staffs, employees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the problem is Uli has to cite for everything. Because he's the only one, and even he can send an invoice for stuff. So yeah.
No, Uli is not even an ORCA member.
Ah, right. Yeah. So well.
So it would basically.
It would disable us.
In the worst case, it would be Hans Hermann Redenius, and maybe Naira. I don't know what Naira does for a living. If she's also freelancing on the side like Yuri is doing.
She's biased, I'd say.
Days. That might also come into play. Yes. So worst case, it would be one regular ORCA member that would have to make the decision, and this member would have to be present at the General Assembly for it.
Oh dear.
Yes, and that's what I hope that we are able to avoid by only having to recuse members that put in an offer.
So next question is, would we? So if a certain project, say, gets so many needs and sums up as a lot of money, do we need to do a tender nationwide or Europe-wide? I mean, are we, so what kind of entity are we? Are we comparable to public sector? Are we, I don't know. Could I be heard?
Yes, but Stefan has muted himself. Well, I don't know. I mean, we're not really public sector related, so I don't think that we need to do a tender nationwide or European Union wide.
Yeah, not really. So with the text bit, so what is your concern about the documentation? I mean, we support remote desktop projects and we provide documentation for that, and we realize it's so much documentation that we actually send out some money to someone who can sort of work on it. And then all our users, also the donors, can benefit from that. Where's the problem? Because we share it. It is public. It is. Oh.
Yeah, his internet is probably gone again.
Oh, okay. So let's wait for that.
WLAN wahrscheinlich, ja.
So, well, Stefan, I guess we are still online.
Yeah, we're still online and we're still streaming.
Yeah, we're still streaming. Just as a side information, I'm currently working on a script, little scripting project for maintaining GitLab stuff. So you know the GitLab Cadabra from the Horde team.
Yeah.
I'm currently porting that for X2Go.
In maintenance scripts, we have GitLab Cadabra YAML file.
Oh, you make me crazy, really.
Yeah.
Mike,
yes.
The last thing I heard before my connection stopped was next question if a certain. So I'll just head back to the recording of the live stream and see if I can find that spot, listen to what you said, and then I'll be back.
Okay.
Mike, maybe you know, I have heard that in German law we had for 2023 something about 30 million euro for open source. And
where was that?
From our government.
Yeah, I heard that, but that was sort of, you're not talking about prototype fund. You're talking about, I mean, there was, well, the governments, also state governments, are spending a lot of money on open source these days, with different sorts of outcome.
Yes, but officially it was for the next year. It was planned a half of this budget, and I mean because this year it was not really used, as long as I know.
Yeah, but that's more like, well, I don't know. But you're not talking about some money they make available to whoever, but money they spend on open source contracts with. So for the digital sovereignty sovereignty policy.
Maybe I can find this news.
Yeah, please do. So some GitLab migration stuff in the meantime. Default branch was set to master in the GitLab Abracadabra YML. I'd rather like to switch it to main and actually also do that for the repos we have. Do we have some easy mechanism to rename a branch in GitLab, or do we actually need to pull the branch, switch to a new branch from that branch, push it back?
I mean, we can just say git checkout -b main.
Yeah, locally
and,
then. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but Mike wants to know whether there's a tool within GitLab itself that you can just use.
Yeah. I mean, I can write a for loop as a one-liner, and then that's done. Okay. So regarding, so I'm going through the settings in the GitLab Abracadabra thingy. Regarding merge requests, personally, I prefer semi-linear history merge requesting or merge policy. This is basically something that we do in Ayatana indicators and for Architect Rita Mihai and for everything else that we work on GitHub together, but we do it manually. So we always rebase the pull request branch and then merge only after it has been rebased. And GitLab has actually a nice button to press, and then it rebases itself, and then it merges on top with the merge commit, even if it's several commits.
Okay, everybody, I'm back.
Yeah, we have been GitLabbing a little bit while you were gone.
That's fine. That's fine. So the only question I believe is if we do need to put any needs out to tender. And my opinion on this is no, because we are not public sector. We are like a company, but just a non-profit company, so to speak. So we are not bound by this regulation.
Yes, okay, that's good.
And the second question was why the documentation stuff might not fit within the non-profit stuff.
The idea is that this is a task that would be covered, or that should be covered by volunteers belonging to ORCA as part of their volunteering.
Not necessarily.
Because it's not. The idea is like if we were a soccer club, members could be expected to clean up the soccer ground rather than hiring a company to do this.
Yeah, but if you're a really big soccer club, you certainly hire a company.
Well, then you are no longer a non-profit.
Well, yeah, but that's different actually, because no. What we do is, so say it wouldn't be X2Go. It weren't X2Go. Say it would be, say it was FreeRDP. None of us here in the room knows well enough about FreeRDP to improve its documentation. At the same time, we want to sort of support the free RDP community, which is the users and the developers, to have the best communication they can. And we say, let's sort of put a project on Betterplace.org, and then we, sponsor someone who actually really improves the documentation of free RDP. I'm not saying it's needed, but hypothetically.
Yeah, the thing is, we have a free RDP member, Bernhard.
Anyway, yeah, but still, Bernhard is maybe so busy at work and he can't do it by himself, or he has other tasks in the project already.
In that case, we would have to document this. So we would have to say, yes, we hire someone external to do this. And this is because Bernhard doesn't have the time at the moment.
So what I
doesn't have the skill.
Yeah, what I agree on is that if we hire someone for developing stuff, that shouldn't come with our documentation.
Yes, but if
I agree with this.
The thing is, we currently have a wiki, and there are lots of pages that are horribly outdated.
Yes, they document stuff that has been developed by unpaid work. Because it was unpaid work, it is documented horribly outdated. I know that because I've done the coding, but not the documentation. And I have done it in spare time. It is quite a while ago, but I did. So in that respect, what we do is we don't hide the documentation. The documentation is public, and it's for everyone in the world. So it is a benefit to any X2Go user.
But the catch is that we have a line or a paragraph in our constitution, in our OCA constitution, that says that we must not pay out money to our members unless it's covered by certain regulations. And this is one of those points where these regulations come into place.
What are the regulations?
The expectation of a revenue service that grants us the non-profit status is that our members do volunteer work. That's why there are volunteers in our EV.
Well, yeah. So
you cannot be a member and then expect to be paid for things that are expected from a volunteer.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's a huge task,
yeah,
that is not coverable by our volunteers, then it's different. And we can say, okay, we hire someone to do this. But hiring someone should be something that, actually, the payout should not go to a member of ORCA, but to someone external, because that external person does what all ORCA members combined cannot achieve due to lack of time or skill.
Maybe is it rather so then that we should keep track of say every ORCA member who wants to be a candidate for being contracted with his company or so must deliver a certain amount of hours per month, per year, on anything he or she wants for free.
That is actually one approach that might work. And that is why I would like to get someone with the proper legal knowledge involved, because they hopefully will make suggestions on how we can handle this.
Okay. So because I think that's what's shooting people in the knee in the other thing I mentioned earlier, that they have piped a lot of money to companies, and they have a group of members, and it's not clear if this group of members has done anything.
So I can relate a story from another club or association I'm a member of. This was 10 years ago. Law may have changed since, but back then we had a rule that you were an active member and only had to pay €5 per year as a membership fee if you spent at least 4 Sundays or public holidays working for this association. If you failed that, your membership fee would rise to €20 per year. this was an active versus passive membership thing. And I wonder if maybe a similar solution would be possible for this wiki cleanup stuff and so on. So you can be a active member of Orca by volunteering to clean up the wiki for a certain amount of hours per year, or do other previously defined things that are of public benefit or of benefit for Orca. But the payment issue is always for mundane, trivial tasks. We have a problem paying members.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't pay yourself for the book work you do or something. For the
Well, we could introduce a what's it called? Similar to the Übungsleiterpauschale you mentioned on Sunday. The chairman may receive money from Orca if there's a regulation for it. So we would have to set up a regulation that the chairman may be paid for their work.
If it, probably with the clause of exceeding a certain amount of hours per month or something. Yeah.
So that would be possible, but obviously we need to have this money to pay our chairman.
Yeah, that's a
so
different.
This would mean increasing membership fees or having a sponsorship drive every now and then. And that's more something for larger associations where somebody works like part-time or full-time as a chairman, and not just a few hours on the side each month.
Yeah, or they even hire a CEO that runs the business
for example.
Yeah. And the BOD just does the controlling for the CEO or something. Yeah, okay.
So budget for a lawyer, yes or no?
Yeah. So my concern is that it's not so easy to find someone. But yeah, it's Vereinsrecht is different from. It would be good to not have to go over the explanation of what is open source all over again, like we had with the tax office.
Yeah. I think we can break this down to some more general issues. So, like I said, there seems to be some sort of regulation, like when I can, what are the conditions under which I can pay a member from the Orca budget, and when is this work expected to be done voluntarily? And similarly, there must be some kind of regulation on who is allowed to vote for or against a certain company or individual to be hired by Orca, and which possible conflicts of interest do we have to keep in mind. There might even be a regulation that a small association like ours, with like 10 members that we currently have, might not be governed so strictly regarding this, because we just have so many members filling dual roles as volunteers and freelancers or company owners.
Yeah.
So that we just have a need to act, and this need overrides the regulation that would normally say that we cannot hire our own companies or something like that. That is something a lawyer will know and should be able to tell us. And this is not an open source related issue or a software related issue. This is something that could happen with any other association as well. I think groundskeeping for an association that has a larger building complex.
Mm-hmm.
You need a janitor, you need groundskeeping. You need someone to sweep the floors.
Yes,
everything, can this be covered by members as part of their volunteer task, or is it such a huge time-consuming task that we need to hire someone externally? Could that external person be one of the members doing their daytime job? And who gets to vote on this and who not?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
general question, not related to software, not related to open source.
Mhm. Yeah. So I'd say let's set up something on Betterplace too.
Okay. Okay, that was this one. And let me see how to proceed. That was it. And so I would say until then, we'll only add the projects for infrastructure and events, right? Mike? Hello?
Yes,
Am I
yes,
gone
yes,
again?
yes.
So you agree?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you
Yes,
agree?
yes, I agree. I agree.
Okay. We know focus. Okay, so we have an agreement, and that means that we could start our phone call, if you don't mind.
And can we do that tomorrow?
Um,
Is it okay or is it okay?
there's one particular reason why I would like to get this done today, and
Yes.
this reason is something I do not want to have on the stream.
Okay. Can we then move? Can we use
So
here
the first step is I would like to stop the stream.
Okay, you can stop the stream.
Because I think we're done with discussion, with discussing everything. So it should be safe to stop the stream.